Yeah, the power of listening is such a misunderstood skill, I guess you could call it. It's not even really a skill, but it's such a misunderstood place to come from, place to be in when you're in a conversation. Really introverted people have a very funny thing. They actually are great, a lot of introverted people are very great at listening. They're really good at listening a lot, and they pick up a lot of clues and a lot of details. But then when it comes time to talk, they can't talk because they're, a lot of times are embarrassed about judgment, or they're afraid that what they say isn't going to be right, or it's not going to come out right the way that they've thought about it in their head. Another interesting thing that a lot of introverts have is that sometimes they're good at listening, but sometimes they're not good at listening at all, because while somebody else is talking, what they're doing is they're processing in their head what they're going to say next, and they're thinking, oh God, okay, now I have to speak. What's the thing that I'm going to say, and how am I going to say it? And while somebody's talking to them, they completely miss everything that's being said. And that's actually something that not only introverts have, but also people who tend to like to speak a lot. A lot of people who like to overcompensate in conversation, for example, kind of don't listen very well. Because people who like to overcompensate, people who think about how they're coming across a lot and are very, very self-conscious, making sure that they're showing up well in the conversation and making sure that people are thinking okay things about them, a lot of times what they're doing is they're waiting to speak. And they're waiting to think of the right thing to say so that they come across well. And what they're not doing in the conversation is sitting and listening to what the other person is saying. So listening is really, it's almost a skill that's not a skill, because the listening aspect's already there. Our ears are already listening, but when our mind starts processing, our mind starts running, it likes to shut off the ears, and it prefers thinking over the listening. So there's a certain kind of a connection when you're in a conversation that is already there, naturally occurring. Our minds just like to fuck with us really bad. So what I really encourage you to do is to practice the skill of listening. It's not even really a matter of practicing, it's reminding yourself when you're in a conversation to listen. Instead of thinking, oh my God, what's the next thing I'm going to say? Or if you're kind of the boisterous person, thinking, all right, well, what can I say in this that's going to make me sound good? That's going to make it sound like my response is really good. It's going to make it sound like I was listening so that I'm really connecting with this person. But really just relax into it and clear your mind. Stop thinking about the next thing to say. And when you stop thinking about the next thing to say, what happens is that you start kind of settling in to the present moment, which a lot of my videos are about, is really settling into the present moment. And when you're listening, you're always present. When you're truly deeply listening to somebody, your mind is open. Your mind is not processing, thinking of the next thing to do, but it's completely open, sensing the present, feeling the present, hearing what the other person has to say. And when you start doing these things, you start to realize more and more you start to realize more and more that there's a certain type of connection that's present in a conversation naturally, without you having to do anything at all. It's already there. You see, your ears are already listening. And when you stop the mind from thinking so much about the next thing to do, the mind settles down a little bit, and your ears start opening up. And you hear that the sound that the other person is speaking, it's been coming to you the whole time, so you don't even have to try to listen. You just have to, it's more like you have to stop yourself from trying to do anything at all. And that connection that you have, this conversational connection, has been there the entire time. And when you settle into it, you start opening up to it. You start opening up to the present moment. Now when it comes time to speak, that's another story, right? And not being self-conscious and not overthinking everything, and not stuttering, and not speaking too fast, and all those things. But very first step is taking a step back and opening your ears, opening your eyes, opening your senses, and feeling where the person's coming from. And just listen. Don't try to